All right, everybody, welcome back. It's the Wake Up Crew, Ray G, joined as always by my man Jay Rich, and we are back to talk about the NBA playoffs. We have Toronto versus Philadelphia tonight, later this evening, Utah versus Dallas, and then Denver versus Golden State on the April 18th slate. So we've got to get into it, Jay. Yesterday was rough, man. I'm praying Zach LaVine hits that final three. He chucks one up with 2 seconds left, clanks that shit, went 2 for 10. The process was there. The results did not follow. Devin Booker, we talked about his threes and the points, hit the threes, did not hit the 27.5 points. You were on White Lightning, Kevin Huerter. He failed us. He got in foul trouble within the first 3 minutes. He had 2 fouls. He was done. And who was the other guy that we took that just did not? Kevin Durant's assist. Probably the worst playoff game that Kevin Durant has played in a long time. I've never seen people take the ball from Kevin Durant like that in a very, very long time. So hopefully we'll bounce back. Again, data-driven process here. So we're back at it. And Jay, you identified quite a few matchups that you liked, and I am taking a different route. I had a lot of success. I wish the picks that I smashed on last night are the ones we talked about and recommended to the audience, but we'll dive into that here in a second when we get into our picks. Let's go.
For all the high-flying action, take a step back and relax. It's time to count that money, the NBA props. No look any further. You know what time it is. Presented by PrizePicks, NBA props. Let's
count that money, man. All right, Jay, where do you want to start on the slate for tonight?
All right, so today I'm going to start in the Utah-Dallas game, and I'm going to be looking at my main man, Royce O'Neal, under 5.5 points. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm crazy. Royce O'Neal, he's got to do it, man. He's a starter in the NBA. He plays for the Utah Jazz. 5.5 points? Come on. But the fact of the matter is he just does not hit this number. 3 points, 5 points, 3 points, 6 points. Bagel, like I talked about last time. Royce O'Neal is always on bagel alert anytime he plays. But what I will mention, though, and I want people to understand this, is that this play is one that's going to be up all day long. And more importantly, it's juiced to the over right now on the sports books. And so we know on PrizePicks when the juice goes too far, they give you that half point. And so there's a chance, a very small chance, that Royce O'Neal does get juiced up to 6, at which point it's a smash because he hasn't gone over 6 in his last 11 games. He's gone over 5.5 in 3 of his last 10. And like I mentioned, his last game, he only put up 3 points, and he put up those 3 points in the last 30 seconds. So I'm all over Royce O'Neal in this one. And I want to also go after Dwight Powell. I mentioned it on the last time we talked about this game. Dwight Powell under 10.5. Look at that beautiful number for Dwight Powell. 10.5 points. It's 8.5 and 9.5 on the sportsbook. So PrizePicks is giving you some free juice there. Yeah. Give me the under in this one. He is struggling against Rudy Gobert. He only played 22 minutes in the last matchup. He's averaged 4.5 points versus Utah when Luka Doncic is out. Now, of course, Luka's not going to be playing in this one, so he's not going to have easy buckets at the rim. Give me the under 10.5 on Dwight Powell. And I've seen it as well on PrizePicks at 9.5. Give me the under on that as well. I think both these guys are just destined to go under. And I'm just feeling this one. Royce, bagel. I'm willing it into existence. And Dwight Powell under with a tough matchup against Rudy. Ray, where are you at with these two guys, and how do you feel about these unders at such low totals?
Royce O'Neal, the gift that keeps giving in the prop betting world. It was at 6 last game, and he had a bagel until the last, I think, minute of the game where he hit a three-pointer and posed like he was Steph Curry. I mean, he knocked down that 3. Game was over. So 5.5, I think this is trying to scare you off of it, and I think you make a good point. If this continues to get bet up, PrizePicks may push it to 6. It will not go any higher than 6, and if I were them, I'd keep it at 5.5, but I do like that. I mean, O'Neal is just not... The interesting thing is he's going to shoot the ball, which is always problematic, right? Because he can luck into 2 threes and then it's over. And he does shoot a couple of threes a game, but Royce O'Neal, I'm with you. I'm okay with going back to the well on this one. We try not to do that too many times on the same player. But this number, it's even as low as it is, man. I still have a lot of confidence that Royce O'Neal can come through for us and finish this game with the under. Dwight Powell, I mean, the fact that you're getting a point or two of edge here on Prize Picks, that's fantastic, right? Even I was looking at his fantasy score. He's got the lowest edge in our model. I mean, it's the only edge underneath 1%. It's minus 5.51% to the under on his fantasy score. We have him projected at 20, and PrizePicks has his fantasy score line set at 22. So I like Dwight Powell. I like Royce O'Neal. I am going to go to the fantasy score section, Jay. We were talking last night, and I think there is some edge that you can find and take advantage of on Prize Picks in the fantasy score world, especially those players who get, they get their fair share of blocks and steals. The way that the scoring works on Prize Picks is you get 3 points for a steal and 3 points for a block. Last game for Rudy Gobert in this matchup, who I want to talk about his fantasy score going over. He only had 33 versus Dallas, but tonight we do have Gobert projected for 36 minutes and his fantasy score right at 46 points, which gives him a 23% edge based on the lines that PrizePicks gives you. Now, Gobert only had 33 fantasy score last game, but Jay, how many points did old Rudy score last game? So we're just banking that he doesn't give us, what did he have, 4 or 5 points last game?
5 points, yeah. So we're talking about a guy, perennial double-double threat, can do it in his sleep. I believe he had, 15 rebounds? His line is at 15 rebounds, so his points are at 13. He should be a guy who should get a double-double every single game. And like I already talked about with Dwight Powell, all you need in this matchup is to do what he did last game and to get 5 or 6 more points, get to that 10 mark, and he's going to hit this over. That's why we have him projected for so much higher. I think this is a great play, Ray. I really like it. And like you talked about, there's no one really that can match Gobert in the post. And so he's just bigger than everyone on the floor. Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith. They're just not big enough to deal with Rudy Gobert. Right. So he's going to get some cheap blocks. And that's one of the reasons why I really like him on this slate overall.
Yeah. He only shot the ball one time. He was 0 for 1 last game in 35 minutes, right? 35 minutes, and he didn't foul out. 17 boards, 3 blocks, no steals. So if he can just get another 2 or 3 blocks right there, that's 12 fantasy points for you. If he gets 9 fantasy points if he gets 3 blocks, and if he somehow lucks into a steal here or there. 17 boards is a ton, but like you said, they just don't have anybody that can match up with Gobert down low, and I am betting playing 35, 36 minutes, he's going to give you more than 1 field goal. So I like the over on Rudy Gobert fantasy score. Is there anything else early that you're looking at, Jay?
One of the ones I want to touch on is actually our boy James Harden. Now, again, this is kind of scary for me a little bit because we saw what happened in Philadelphia 2 days ago where the Sixers completely blew them out. Tyrese Maxey went off. But I'm looking at James Harden's assist total over 11. 11 is a high number, even for James Harden, but the fact of the matter is he's hit that in 6 of his last 7 games. As you can see, he's gone over 14 assists in his last 4 games. It's just with Harden, he's going to dish the ball. You saw the way he played. He was dominating out there. And on top of that, his primary defender in this series was going to be Scotty Barnes, who's not playing in this game. Yep. Gary Trent Jr., also a terrific perimeter defender, not going to be playing in this game. So Toronto really on the perimeter is going to have Fred VanVleet, and then we'll see from there. They're going to have OG, but OG is going to have to probably play up and go against Tobias Harris. So from that perspective, they're going to be struggling to cover some of these faster guards on the outside, and that's going to leave opportunities for cuts and an ability for Harden to dish the rock effectively without a primary ball handler who can, really go, or primary defender who can really go after him. Harden should easily hit this number. Like I said, he's been going over it consistently, and so this is a line I really like, even though there are some blowout concerns in this game. But even last game, like you mentioned to me before the show, Harden played 41 minutes, which you do not expect for a team that won by almost 25 points. So I really like 11 for Harden. It's a high number, but he's been hitting it a lot, and I think he's going to play a lot in this matchup and get a dub.
Yeah, man. Harden is one where I really, really wanted to take his fantasy score, Jay, at 45. And I know he's only averaging 43.5 over his last 5 games. He did score over his projected fantasy score total in his first matchup versus Toronto with 54. And in our model, he's got the 5th highest projected edge at 15.74%. We have him projected at 52 fantasy score if he plays 41 minutes. My concern, too, is blowout, right? I think Harden can get the 11 assists even in a blowout. He's sort of taken, again, we talked about it, a little bit of a backseat in scoring to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. But my issue with the fantasy score, just feeling super confident in the over, is they just get out so quickly. They blow them out. Maxey scores a lot. Embiid does his thing. Tobias Harris actually has the highest projected edge in our model on fantasy score at 26%. But, when I'm looking at Harden, and one of the things that I like about his projected fantasy score total is the fact that he did get 2 blocks and steals last game. So that's a free 6 points. If Harden can do that, get his 11 dimes, hit his 21.5 point total or 20.5 point total, whatever that is, good chance of going over this fantasy score total. But I'm not confident that Toronto keeps it close. And if it's a blowout, I just don't think Harden is going to have to do as much in order to hit this. So I would much rather the assist, but the fantasy score is intriguing. If it drops at all a little bit, I will be on it. So is there anything else that you're looking at? I know we wanted to touch on a little bit from the Golden State game, but we just need to see what's going on with Steph Curry. Is he coming off of the bench? Is he starting? If he does come off of the bench, I'll tell you right now, Andrew Wiggins' fantasy score, I will be adding this to the mix and match at 28. Again, he does some of the things that we talk about where on PrizePicks, if you can catch you a high minutes player who could do something on defense, blocks, steals, and not turn the ball over, which Andrew Wiggins, he's got an over-under projected total of blocks and steals at 1.5 with the juice to the over at -125. So if he can do that, he does not turn the ball over, right? One turnover last game, kind of save you a point here in the fantasy score department. I will be adding Andrew Wiggins to the mix and match if Steph Curry, once again, is coming off of the bench, but we'll add this to the show a little bit later. Jay, anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
I want to touch on Nicole Yokic real quick because he's another guy who is projected really high in the model. It's because of how productive he is as a player, right? So I believe it's down at the bottom. It's 59 overall for the points for Nicole Yokic.
Okay.
Yeah, we can look at his fantasy score, right? And so the thing with Yokic is that we know the points are going to be there. But you look at these numbers, 55, 75, 71, 76, 71. He's capable of a 70-point performance in fantasy scores. And this still applies to his par, right? His par, he's been just going completely nuclear. But the issue is that he's been getting played very, very well by Golden State. And this is another game that could be on blowout alert. We saw the way they played him last game. The points were there. I believe he had 29 points, but he didn't get a ton of rebounds, and he got almost no assists. And if Jokic doesn't put up a 30-point triple-double, it will be very close to him to actually hit this 60 number. So for me, I'm be staying away from it. I don't know if I'm going to be going after the under in this matchup because he is still capable of blocks and steals, and he is capable of dominant performance. But the problem is against Golden State, I think the matchup is just too tough. I'm probably going under on his par. And then like we talked about last game, I think Joel Embiid is another guy who we've seen his par number dropping. It opened up at 51.5, and I think it's going to drop probably down even to 48, 49. Like it's at 49.5 right now. Just the same with Jokic. So I think these are ones that you're going to want to be paying attention to because Toronto plays Embiid really tough, but being undermanned, they're going to take a ton of minutes. And if Embiid wants to, we know he can probably score that 30.
See, and for me, man, if I'm looking at Jokic, and I was even thinking about doing his par at 49.5, we took him at 51.5 last game, and that didn't play out. I'd rather just go with this fantasy score total, man, at 59. Last game, he had 4 blocks and steals. He's averaging 2.6 blocks and steals versus Golden State. I mean, 4 of those things, you know what I mean? 3, 6, 9. That's 12 points just in the blocks and steals category. You take that 12 away from 59, it puts his points, rebounds, and assists under 49.5, right? Now, you can't go out there and project Joker. I'm combining his damn last name and his nickname to go for 4 blocks and steals, but man, he's hit his over-under total of 2.5 in 7 of his last 10. So for me, if I were going to take something on the MVP, it would be the fantasy score total. We do have him projected at 68 fantasy score tonight if he plays 37 minutes with a 15% edge based on the PrizePicks lines. If I would do anything, I would be taking Joker's fantasy score over 59, but that's one for me. Then I'm just going to stay away and enjoy the game and wait to see what happens with Steph Curry because I'd much rather target Andrew Wiggins. So there you go. Those are the plays that we have for this NBA slate today. As always, if you tail, give them hail. If we fail, do not bail. This is a data-driven process, and we'll be back tomorrow for more picks. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the games. We're out. Peace.